So there's a tale that's emerging at this point of the good and the bad. Actually, I should address this first. Gets commented on a lot now, again, because I'm getting more new subscribers. I drink a lot of pop during videos. I don't drink a lot of anything in between videos. That's the truth. Um, I do it so that my voice doesn't get dry, or throat doesn't get dry, voice doesn't get hoarse, and I've never tasted anything as good as Cherry Coke Zero, which is now available in Canada, so I like to think that I made that happen. My frequent trips to the States for Cherry Coke Zero, and my future mother-in-law bringing me up a bunch, has made Coca-Cola see the error of its ways and bring the flavor to Canada. Doesn't matter either way, I'm just glad that it's here. That aside, divisional standings. It was mentioned, and rightfully so, Toronto is now 4 points back of Montreal. Now, there's the regulation or overtime wins tiebreaker. Toronto is behind on that. They have 27, Ottawa has 28, Boston has 29, and Montreal has 30. Now, personally, as a Bruins fan, I would love nothing more than to see Montreal continue to fail. I just can't see it continuing for much longer. I can't. But the division is so tight when you look at it that there's 6 points between Florida and Montreal. Florida's 5th in the division. And Florida's got two games in hand on Montreal, and they've been playing some of their best hockey lately. In fact, when you look at it, last 10 games, Montreal's 2-7-1, Ottawa's 6-4, Toronto's 4-3-3, Boston's 7-3, and Florida is 8-2. And while we're at it, Buffalo at 6-4, they're 10 points back, but over the last 10 games, they've gained 7 points on Montreal. That's how poorly Montreal is handling things. Now, what's interesting to me is that Claude Julien said all the right things, that they're struggling and he's trying to figure out what's going on. Claude Julien is not fantastic at coaching offense. He can coach defense. He can, your goaltending stats are going to be great with him there. But in all the time he was in Boston, there were plenty of times where it was like, man, we really need to open this game up, and they wouldn't. And what seems to have changed under Cassidy for the Bruins is that they've opened the game up. And they've played very, very well since Cassidy became the coach. I took some flack, and rightfully so, from people saying, well, why would you want Julien fired? Julien's a great coach. He is a great coach. His time was up in Boston. And now he's coaching in Montreal, and it hasn't been an immediate turnaround for Montreal. They play well in New York. They play, they get a shootout win, great emotional win, and then they come home and lay an egg against those same Rangers. So it is not a given that Montreal wins the division. Now, why would I say Ottawa? I say Ottawa a lot because Ottawa has games in hand on every team behind them. I say Ottawa because they've been consistent this year. Toronto's been really up and down. Boston, they started off really, really well. If they hadn't had that big dip in the middle, they'd be far and away at the top of the division. I think they'd have like 78 points. I'd give them an extra 10 points if they had been consistent, but they weren't. So the Atlantic Division is tight. And I'm sure Tampa fans are going to point out, hey, we're not that far out either. And they're not. The only team in that division that really and truly is in a position that they kind of have to give up is Detroit. Detroit is in a position where they kind of have to give up. Now, when you look at other divisions, well, Metro Division, it's a 5-point spread between Washington and Pittsburgh. And I can't see Washington losing that. Washington has played very, very well for quite a while now. Basically from the start of the season, Washington's been consistently good. The Rangers have been fantastic over the last 10, but again, it comes down to there's only 20-some games left, and it's barely over 20. And they're 7 points back in the division, so I can't see anybody other than Pittsburgh threatening Washington in the Metro. In the Central, again, Chicago now is 3 points back of Minnesota. Chicago's 8-2 in their last 10. Chicago's on a mission. And Minnesota's been great. Minnesota is 3 points ahead of Chicago with 2 games in hand. but it's a tough division, and I could see Chicago pulling that off. And that's it. There's absolutely zero chance that St. Louis makes up the 17-point gap between themselves and first place in the division, and Nashville has that same 17-point gap. It's frightening when you see that stat. Now, the other, what's the eloquent term I can use for the shit sandwich that is the Pacific Division? I keep waiting for one of these teams to get really hot, and it looks like right now it's Calgary. And it's by virtue of the fact that when they blew that lead in Nashville, they managed to come back and win it anyways. Otherwise, I wouldn't have them in the category of being a hot team either. San Jose has the 3-point lead over Edmonton and a 3-point lead over Anaheim. They have games in hand on both of them. They have a game in hand on Calgary. Calgary's 11 points back. This division is tough. It's tough to call. It's tough to watch. Edmonton has been very good. And honestly, right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Edmonton ended up winning the division. And from a Canadian perspective, if Toronto somehow wins their division, and Edmonton somehow wins their division, it creates a fantastic Canadian storyline going into the first round. But here's the thing. Here's the one thing I would caution for Leafs fans for saying we can win the division. So let's say Toronto wins the division. In the first round, they get the either the Rangers or Columbus. If they don't win the division, they get Ottawa. I really like Toronto's odds against Ottawa. I do. I think Toronto's odds of beating Ottawa and getting out of the first round, pretty good. And then in the second round, you can face either Columbus, the Rangers, or Montreal. If Toronto wins that division and they face either the Rangers or Columbus, I don't like their chances. Because Columbus has all of their ducks in a row, as do the Rangers. They would stand a better chance, I would think, against Columbus than the Rangers. Just because I think Columbus has peaked already, and I think they're primed to probably get knocked out in the first round if they're not smart about things. Which could be said for anybody, certainly. But right now, I would consider them more dangerous than Ottawa. Now, let's just say Ottawa wins the division. So let's just say Ottawa wins the Atlantic. And Toronto gets a first-round matchup with Montreal. You don't want that? Really? Because I think you do. Toronto-Montreal in the first round would be insane. It would be absolutely bonkers. And I would take Toronto in that series. Toronto's got youth and excitement, and they're on an upswing, and Montreal's perceived right now as being basically a tire fire. If not for Max Pacioretty over the last couple of weeks, it'd be even worse. If not for Carey Price standing on his head at times, it'd be even worse. Montreal has got a lot of issues, and I did a video, I think, 6 weeks ago now that I did the Montreal has problems video? They have problems. They have massive problems in Montreal. And Bergevin has to be feeling some of the heat because he just fired the coach. So if now with Claude Julien as coach, if they tailspin out of the playoffs, it's Bergevin's ass on the line, not Julien's. And I'm fine with having fired Therrien for Julien because Julien's the better coach. That's why it's happened twice. But man, that division, I really honestly right now, any of those 5 teams could win it. And I'm including Florida. Florida could go on a hot streak and win it. Because the Atlantic is that tough to call. So, with that in mind, I'm done with this topic for now. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Which team you think is going to win the Atlantic, and which one's going to win the shit sandwich that's the Pacific. Because I don't know what else to call it. It's just from one night to the next, I have no clue what to expect out of the Pacific Division. Anyways, thanks for watching. If I get a jersey today, I'm hoping to get my Red Wings jersey today, and Yvonne and I are going to fire things up and do the how to fix your jersey when it's destroyed video. This might be one of the jerseys I use because there's stains on this, and there's snags in it, and there's ways to save them so that they don't completely fall apart and you don't have to throw them out. So, because I was near the point of throwing a few out, and she's fixed them and saved them. So, that is coming up soon. Either today or tomorrow, I would think. Hopefully today. Hopefully that jersey arrives early today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. According to my current statistics, 42% of the people that view my videos are not subscribers. That tells me there's a lot of people who look at my videos and they're having a problem hitting that subscribe button. It works. It's fantastic. And I approve of people using the subscribe button. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon.